All right, I think it's time to go. Mr. Kieran,
Hey,
thank
how's
you
it
for
going?
joining us from your holiday and welcome everybody uh,
Anytime.
to our presentation. We'll be later on joined by Michael. Unfortunately, Parta couldn't join today, but Kieran and I will give it a go and talk to you about the two separate products that are being released today and a small update on the Pillar wallet. I know the live stream is happening right now. We have about a couple of people here, so let me know if you have any question at the end of it. We could potentially address it. Otherwise, yeah, welcome to the demo. We're gonna be demoing some really cool stuff. Let me just prep. All right. I hope my screen is being shared right now.
Yep, it definitely is.
Awesome. All right, guys. First things first, we're going to talk about BUIDLer and show you BUIDLer. So BUIDLer is a React component that we've been developing. One of our key developers, Dementes, who unfortunately is a bit too camera shy, couldn't join us today. And to discuss it, he's been building this for a while. And the idea about BUIDLer is really to create a very plug and play kind of experience to allow web developers, dApps, to integrate with the Etherspot SDK and give them a very configurable component that is easily plugged into a dApp. So I think that's the general thinking about that. I'm going to talk a little bit about like what we have built so far, what the future is coming towards, and what we're trying to build, and where this is taking course. So if you want to visit it and play it around with yourself, BUIDLer is a tool. Let's start with the demo. So the first things first with the demo is that, unfortunately, I've already signed in here. Let me just refresh this. I'll refresh. It's not really, why is it picking up? 1 second. There we go. So this is the first interaction that people see, and normally people are accustomed to like visualize their key-based wallet assets. And what we have done here is basically allow you a way to interact with smart contract-based wallets through the Etherspot SDK. So you can interact with assets, but then also combine a couple of actions. The first action that you see here is this is my key-based wallet that you can see the address on. You can copy this over if you want to. But the next stage is usually, you need to connect with a signed message. Now, what's really cool is the signature message is popping up. And it doesn't really matter where you're coming from. So you could come from, and we'll showcase this later on in the dashboard. You could come from Binance Smart Chain or wherever you're coming from, any of those networks, and you can start interacting with assets and chains that are available on your smart contract-based wallet. So this is the list of chains that we currently support right now. And I'm going to load a couple of them here just to showcase it to you guys. But the real idea behind this and the power behind this is it allows you to transaction build. So you'll see here an option where it says add transaction. And these are the items that are currently available, which is swapping, which is slightly different in the asset bridge, because with asset bridge is basically your way of like cross-chaining assets over back and forth. As here you'll see all the assets that you have on a small contract-based wallet. Remember that. So if you're connecting this for the first time with your MetaMask, you will not have any assets. But later on, I'll show you how to deposit assets into a small contract-based wallet. If you're coming from Pillar, which is using the Etherspot SDK, just a reminder that you need to switch to your key-based wallet in Pillar wallet in order to interact with this, because small contract through Wallet Connect to small contract is not going to work out nicely. So yeah, assets are here. Like I see, I have some DAI, I have some fish. Let me just try some fish and see how that is going to work out for me. And I want to go to Gnosis. I'm going to load that up too. But in order to get to this is the cross-chain swap. But what I'm trying to explain here is that you can do multiple transactions at the same time. So you can do a swapping of your asset. For example, let's say Polygon, and I'll let the assets load again. I want to get some USDC on Gnosis chain, and this will automatically find the routes for you that are available and load it up for you. This is again loaded up my assets on Polygon, and I want to go buy Aave, for example. I want to buy 2 or 3, maybe like that. So you can see here, an offer has already been loaded by Lefi, which is our cross-chain integration partner. And I see a couple of offers that are on the same chain. So like 1inch, SushiSwap, Paraswap, etc. Now, execution. So if you go to the review screen, you'll see that the gas is estimated. And if I start executing this transaction, you'll see 2 different signed messages in order to execute this. I'm not going to do that right now because it might take a little bit too long, because cross-chain tends to be quite long process, so we won't go into that. But feel free to try this yourself and see how it goes. But I wanted to explain to you guys that there's 2 different ways of transaction batching. One is called sequential, or what we call relative, meaning that if I buy 2 USDC and Aave, I don't necessarily have the Aave assets yet, right? But I do want to continue the process of doing something with it. So if I wanted to do, Aave and deposit the Aave into the Aave protocol, or swap it after I get the Aave, that kind of composition would require an assumption that a certain amount of Aave has been received. So that's one way of doing a transaction batch, which is I don't have the asset yet, but I do want to define the steps that is coming up for the next step and the next step and the next step and the next step. So what we're going to be doing in this React component is adding more and more protocols. As you can see here, we have a couple of things that we have listed: Lefi staking, Uniswap staking, SushiSwap staking, etc. And we'll be adding more and more protocols. So it's much easier for dApps to start working out a pathway of executing a transaction batch. So that's just one way of doing it. The other way is the non-relative way, meaning that I'm taking an asset. So let's say USDC, for example, and I want to buy 3 different tokens, but I want to do it in one transaction. So this allows me also to compose the same way that I'm doing here, loading assets from Polygon, adding another transaction, Polygon, and adding another one here. And as soon as I get the Polygon assets, I'll be able to showcase to you guys what I mean. At the same time, this current iteration only allows us to do multi-transactions. So this is not a transaction batch. This just allows you to execute a couple of transactions at the same time with 3 different signature messages. I'm doing this as an example right now. Aave, let's go with Uni, let's go with, I don't know, USDT. And I'll do 2 here, I'll do 2 here, and I'll do 2 here. So this opens up a kind of mechanics for if you have in stable coins an asset and you wanted to immediately buy a couple of assets at the same time. So we're going from one asset, which is USDC, to a couple of assets. So you're taking a more risky position, which because you're moving into a volatile asset, you can execute it through this software. Right now, this will require 3 signature messages, but the moment that the next iteration is coming up, we will be introducing this as a single transaction, and this is what we call transaction batching, and that's kind of what our goal is. The React component as well allows slotting to be done. So for example, we have now added a toggle theme to this, so you can see how easily adjustable this is. All these blocks, for example, that we've taken here can be altered into a single block UI. But more importantly, just to remember, it only applies currently for smart wallet to smart wallets. What we will be introducing later on is in our net registration is the key-based. If you try key-based assets, it's not supported yet. So this will be coming soon, but it's not available yet. Kieran, do we have anything else to add to this, or did I miss something?
No, I think you've covered. I think you covered everything. I think I'm personally really excited to see this in action and see this embedded on other people's websites with custom themes and stuff. It makes accessing accessing DeFi like so easy. So
yeah. One item that I wanted to say is that right now, this configuration where we'll be adding more and more protocols, there's a different way of doing things as well, which is programmatically adding functionality. So if a project comes along that says, I have a certain smart contract and I want to engage with this smart contract, they don't necessarily need to go to us to add this functionality. They will be able to do it programmatically as well. So this is the builder. Shall we move on to the dashboard?
yeah.
I really hope you guys have some fun time. So history, you can probably check out all the history. I don't have any history right now, but I could have done an execution on the wallets. But take a look at it, guys. The URL is BUIDLer or BUIDLer, or like we call it BUIDLer. Have fun with it. Let's go on to the dashboard. So dashboard, unfortunately, I'm logged in again. I'm just going to reset everything. Never mind. What's the point? It's already loading everything. So the dashboard. This has been worked on for quite a bit. It's mostly a portfolio tracking way of like seeing again your assets in a nice overview. What you saw with the builder is that you didn't have a nice overview currently in the builder. But you do have control over the assets. The whole point of the BUIDLer RIA component is that it allows an easy integration in the DApp. And we'll showcase that later on once we do the swapping and how this dashboard works and feels for people. But let's go to the dashboard. The first time that you sign in, it's the same process. You really get a signature message with MetaMask. All of your assets that you have on all the different chains are loaded for you. Your smart contract-based wallet address is always the same, except for Avalanche, which we will be introducing to the dashboard later on once we have added the UI. But most of the time, you can just use this address. Your Keybase address listed here as well. Some configuration items, if you want to play with testnets, I would highly recommend that too. And if you want to copy them over here as well, that's also available. Now, NFTs are supported. I don't have a lot of NFTs, but the ones that I do, I always find them quite cool. This is the one that's going to be loaded from NYC. I'm not a big NFT holder, but it is multi-chain. I know I only have on Ethereum right now, so please play around with it. So again, if you have it on the Pillow wallet, this will be accessible for you as well. But the really cool stuff comes in, like the connection barrier here is like, you can see here that I'm connected to Ethereum. If I wanted to switch to Polygon, it would automatically switch for me to Polygon, or ask me at least to switch to Polygon. And it will be updated automatically. So the very first time when people come in, they might not have smart contract wallet assets on it. So what we've created is a deposit where it loads up all your assets from all the different chains that you have on your Keybase wallet, so on your MetaMask wallet. And obviously it shows you that you're connected to Polygon, and you can now deposit your assets that you have on all the different chains easily. So let's say, for example, I wanted to deposit, well, I'm now connected to Polygon, but let me see if let's deposit some Optimism USDC assets. Switching network, and it loads up the USDC asset that I had on Optimism automatically for me. I can see the balance here. More interestingly, like a drop down here, I can also select the assets that I have available as well. But let's say I wanted to deposit some op tokens here. Maybe not that much, maybe do like 2. You can see I'm depositing it here, and it automatically will trigger the deposit screen for MetaMask or where you're coming from to request this for you. Nothing really new here. It's a simple transaction that you're integrating. So let's go to the more fun stuff, which is like once you have your assets on the smart contract based wallet, a whole lot of functionality comes through. So I'm gonna do an example of like send and withdraw. So right now you can see that I'm connected to Optimism, but what I really want to do is like control my wallets without network switching. So if I did something like Binance, Binance might not be a great example. Let's do Polygon again. And I selected some Pillow tokens, Let's do 200. And you can see here that the address is already pre-filled. This is my key wallet address. This is already done for you. If you want to switch it back and you want to send it to somebody else or an ENS, feel free to toggle this. It's a very easy way. Pasting the address is also included in this. But the really cool stuff is what we call meta transactions. Is that now if I have, for example, deposited just USDC onto the smart contract-based wallet, I can actually pay my gas. I don't necessarily need to have the Matic token. This is what we call meta transaction. I can select any of these assets to pay for my gas functionality. So this is where it comes in, where you can easily spread around some stable coins across all the smart contract-based wallet and just make it go about your way and start executing it. So that's really cool. But the second cool thing is that I'm now actually controlling a Polygon wallet and the assets of it while being connected on Optimism. That is the powerful thing about Etherspot. It doesn't force you to network switch in order to control these assets or do some more cool stuff with that. So yeah, that's really cool. I can do this one actually. Why not? Sign the transaction. And you can see here it's already been spent and it's going to be picked up. We won't have to wait for that for a while, but we'll get back to this. Kieran, anything else you want to add to this, or have I covered most of it?
I think you've covered most of it. It's really, I just wanted to add to what you said, that the Etherspot dashboard now and in the future, really showcases the power of the Etherspot platform and how easy it is really to develop on the Etherspot platform, to develop tools and products like this. So this really will serve as a brilliant showcase going forward for the power of the platform. As you mentioned yourself, gas tokens, being able to access different chains without RPC switching. I mean, these are like really huge things, and to see it all in action on the Etherspot dashboard is really beautiful. So yeah, it looks great.
By the way, guys, this is like fully responsive. So if you do load it up on your mobile phone, it should look quite nicely. Obviously, we still need to do some more work, but it's getting there. It took a while. History is really about just your transaction history. It's nothing really significant there. You can just view all the chains that you have here, which you've executed. For example, this is the 200 pillar that I just did. It's been transacted, already done. But yeah, I mean, load up on all the transaction history that you want to, so you can see, like, I don't have a lot of transaction history on all the other chains. So for example, I don't think I've used a couple of these already, but yeah, it's nice to be able to see that. We'll be increasing the detail as well on this, because you can not only see send and receive, but we want to hopefully introduce also like whether you've added liquidity or anything like that, or any kind of special action that you've done. But yeah, let's move on to the even cooler stuff. So which is our swap. So swap, and you recognize this already, it's our builder component. So our first example that we wanted to do as a DApp integration, like how would this component actually work and feel, was this integration. Was like how would this actually work and how easy is it to plug in. So what we did is gave it to another developer who doesn't know the code particularly well of the React component, and just said like integrate it for us, and reviewed like how did it go. So the first struggle that we had was the session sharing, which is basically like, if I've signed a message here already, why do I need to redo it again? So this is quite easily done now. You can see like all the assets will be loaded here. And you can also see that this has been set for cross-chain asset bridging. But if you click on single chain, you can also do single chain swaps here. So these are the boxes that we discussed before that you can configure. If a project comes along that says like, hey, I want to remove this add transaction, or I want to do a different UI, completely different UI, they're very welcome to do that. So the same thing basically applies here. We're loading assets and we're cross-chain swapping between them, or we're doing the single chain swap. But yeah, now it's fully integrated. Just as an example, just to show how dApps can use this. And obviously this dashboard is meant to be for smart contract-based wallets. It shows the power between those two. But is if a key-based project comes along and says like, hey, I really want to integrate this, but I don't want to change my full UI. What the next iteration will be is that I'm interacting with assets on my key-based wallet, and I'm also sending it back to the key-based wallet. And key-based wallets are your MetaMask wallet, for example. So yeah, that's basically it. I mean, like we can, I don't know what else I can add for this integration. Yeah, blocks can be configured, swaps can be done. That's what's coming in the future is key-based. And one thing you'll notice that we haven't integrated yet the meta transactions. So that's something that should be coming in the future as well. So you can pay for your swaps if you're doing those on like with USDC, etc. Cool. Let's move on to cross-chain streaming. This was an interesting project that we did. This is a combination basically between Connext and Superfluid. And what's really interesting about this is that we are basically cross-chain swapping an asset from any chain. And the moment that the asset is received on the other side, the execution then begins to wrap the token and also stream the token. So if you guys aren't familiar with Superfluid, Superfluid allows you to do a streaming basically of assets. So if you're being paid, for example, for a month and you've worked halfway through and you've earned 200 USD, you can immediately unwrap that asset and basically just use it however you want to. But the only thing that they don't have, or what they didn't have, and what we're trying to present here is a way to like control this streaming process from a cross-chain perspective. So this could be that I'm connected with my MetaMask wallet on Optimism. Now it's connected to my Smart wallet, but this could be the same scenario that we're using. So if let me just try to see if this works. So I'm going from Optimism. I want to stream, let's say, DAI. Should we do DAI? Yeah, let's do DAI. Because we have no balance here. Now, the moment that I start doing this, the gas is being estimated. And I'm going to execute the transaction, but Connext can be a bit slower. So I encourage you guys to like go for it yourself and just like play around with it. But I just want to showcase to you guys how it's done. And if there we go, I have my swaps. I'm going to release this, sign it. Hopefully it will go through. There we go. It takes you directly to Connect Scan Explorer, where the transaction is watched. And you can see where the destination transaction is coming from, and also not the destination, the source transaction and the destination transaction. So this might take a while, but we don't need to necessarily wait for this. I can actually select another one, which I want to stream. Let's say Polygon. Do I have any assets on DAI? Let's say I wanted to stream one DAI, and I wanted to go to, where are we going? Yeah, let's pick this address here. Paste it. There we go, and it starts the stream. I execute the transaction. Hopefully it will come through, otherwise I'll be very disappointed. Let's see how we're doing on that Connext transaction. So these are two prepared. And here we go. This is the DAI that I just sent, and I cross-chain streamed over to Superfluid. The user is receiving it. And what's really interesting, if for example, Superfluid had a recipient of DAI, so let's say as a smart contract-based wallet, the user doesn't necessarily need to unwrap this and or nor have the Matic token, because let's say, for example, I wanted to stream this super token and I'm streaming it right now to a user that has a smart contract based wallet like Etherspot. The user, will have to pay for with Matic in order to unwrap the DAI and basically send it somewhere else and use it in another way. If it was received on a smart contract based wallet, we could actually use Meta transactions, unwrap this super token, and immediately pay for the gas transaction where the user is sending it. The user doesn't necessarily need to have this, execution. But yeah, this is cross-chain streaming. It's a really neat infrastructure play where what we're trying to do is so the transaction batching process and controlling the assets once it's received on the other side. It's really, really neat. And then unwrapping it is the next step. If the user kept it, for example, in a small contract-based wallet, that will be it. I think we covered everything. Guys, go to the dashboard, etherspot.io, have fun with it, play with it. Just a reminder for the Pillow wallet users, that is switch over to your key-based wallet when you do your wallet connect. That's all I have to say. Oh, and a final video. One thing that we, like I mentioned, one thing that we don't have here on Swap is paying with Meta transactions, but we do actually have it on our Pillow wallet, which is soon going to be released, a new version, but I'm going to show this to you guys anyway. This is just basically me playing with my wallet. You'll know how I'm selecting assets. Now, obviously, I'm not actually going to sell my Pillow tokens, but I wanted to use an example. You can see here, you can pay with your fees, USDC, Matic, DAI, it's all integrated here as well. So you can start your journey by sending a friend 20 USD or 10 USD, and they can just go on Polygon and just start swapping items. They don't need to necessarily get another token. This is supported on Optimism, on Ethereum mainnet, Binance Smart Chain, etc. One thing that I should mention is that this version in particular is not out yet on iOS. It is out on Android, but yeah, have fun playing around. So one of the benefits here is that you can actually swap with Meta transactions that you cannot do yet on the dashboard. So it's a nice supplementary, addition to your Etherspot experience. I think that's it. Anything you want to add, Kieran?
No, well, just one more. Well, I'll just quickly add one more thing in regards to developers that want to use our platform. We've had several new things to the SDK, I encourage all developers to go and check out our documentation, which is docs.etherspot.dev. Recently, and this is just since we last did an update, we've had several new things, which includes a rate service. So no more hitting CoinGecko or scrambling around looking for rate service. Like, we're again supporting the developers. We will handle all that for you. So we've just launched our rate service. We've got enhanced, NFT metadata. We're going to be exposing LeFi advanced routes as well. We've just added the Arbitrum, Nova, and Nitro support as well. Showing our continued efforts, continued support, especially for L2 networks. Cross-chain streaming, which Alden has just demonstrated, that is now available via the SDK as well. And you just saw gas tokens as well, all available via the SDK. So please go and check it out and take a look. It's beautiful.
Cool. So we have a couple of questions that we can address, and just real quick ones. There's a lot of questions that are bounding the future, but I like to keep things like that, like release it in the next month or something like that. So the next, I hope you tune in again at the end of October to see the new features that we are building on and to see what you're going on. So I'm not going to give you guys like a major new scoop that's coming out. I won't be doing that, but I can answer a couple of questions. So can we send an NFT to another wallet through this platform? Yes, you can, but not yet. This is so close to be done. I think it's going to be at the end of this week. We'll update you guys once we added this functionality, of course. Can we do cross-chain swaps? Does it need gas for origin and destination transaction? No, you don't need gas for destination, but you do need gas for the origin. So either with a gas token that you might have or a stable coin on the Pillow wallet. Right now on this platform, the Meta transaction for paying with gas with USDC, etc., is not supported yet. That will be coming as well into the builder component. Can I offer the project a partnership with another network? Yes, you can. If you go to our Discord, there's a ticketing system actually, and you can submit like a request, and we can review what kind of partnership we can work on, and the team can pick that up easily. Will the project implement liquidity farming and staking. I think that's JJ because I recognize the way he sounded. I'm gonna say stay tuned to the end of the month. Right. I'm gonna give it over to Michael now, or as they call on TV, now a word from our sponsor. Michael, are you there?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is the sponsor speaking. Right. First of all, I would like to say thank you to everyone in the product team. This is really awesome what you guys have achieved. And we've had Etherspot for a while now, nearly 2 years. And the challenge has been making it available to every DApp and every team, as well as for those teams that need deeper integration. And the way we see it, multi-chain is here to stay at the moment. There are quite a lot of EVM chains and non-EVM chains. So the more we service this, and the more we make it like Web 2, so that any user using the Web 3 services does not have to suffer from the inadequacies of the UX that the Web 2 suffers from, that the Web 3 suffers from. So this is the problem space we are addressing. So what, to summarize what we've demoed today is, number one, every DApp can be one-click DeFi by integrating the BUIDLer component. It is self-service. You can include it with a couple of lines of code. And we give you the snippets of codes to include. So as you saw in our DApp, it is not intrusive. It would just be one menu item. So any DApp can go cross-chain immediately, available in over 13 sidechains that we support. And for those teams and protocols that need more integration to take advantage of the inherent account abstraction, the batching, the abstraction of the gas payment, and even further aspects of the SDK, as you've seen with the superfluid integration, it isn't that hard. We help the teams to do so. So in a nutshell, Etherspot is the way to make it possible for every user to behave like a Web 2 access when they're using Web 3 services. So again, really thank you guys for showing this off, and hopefully next month we would have a whole lot more. And some of you guys out there think of the other possibilities with these account abstractions and automations. And I've already seen some questions. Can I build such and such protocol? Can I build X, Y, Z? Of course you can. Think of all the automations you can think of. Instead of having 9, 10, 11, 12 signatures when you're hopping between different vaults, etc., you can minimize this to 1 or 2. So this is a key infrastructural play from us as really an open source system, a donation to the Web3 world. Thank you, guys.
Good, thank you, Michael. Well, that's it, guys. Tune in. We're here. Ask us any questions if you want. We'll be working hard, and I hope you guys will enjoy this dashboard and the products that we're going to build in the future. Thanks for joining us. Have a good day.
Thank you. Bye.